Hey, Pastor Ted here, and here's some food for thought. I was watching Colbert the other night, and he was having a conversation about billionaires, and those billionaires who have all that money and they don't really need that much money. And I'm sympathetic, but the thing that he actually said was it was intriguing and kind of dangerous. And so let's have a look at that real quick. Here's a quick clip.
There are only, according to Fortune magazine, 607 billionaires in the world. Why do we care what they think? Because there's a lot more of us, and they've got too much money.
Fine, there's 607 billionaires in the world, and there's a lot more of us. And so what Colbert is about to do here is called the tyranny of the majority. If you can get a majority of people together to make a decision, then that must make it good, right? Well, the problem here isn't that he's wrong that these people have a ton of money, and if they were to give some of that money to the government, for example, in taxation, that they would somehow miss that, or it would really ruin their lives. The problem is that he is doing this with the assumption that what makes an action just or moral is what the majority decides. And that's where he's going to fall flat. So let's have a look.
Give your money to people who need it, and collective distribution of your wealth is not anti-American. It's as American as Eisenhower.
It's as American as Eisenhower. Well, I'm not going to debate how American Eisenhower is, because you can never really win that fight. Eisenhower is a war hero and a general who did a lot for this country. But one thing I think is very important, the idea that we're going to elevate taxes in order to force people to pay, quote unquote, their fair share, or, because they have too much money after all, it ignores one simple fact, which is the question of whether it is the right thing to do. And there's a couple reasons that I think that that's kind of suspect. The first one, of course, is that it's not your money. It doesn't matter how many people come to me and say, you know what, your car, it's our car now.
Hey! Look at me.
Sure.
Look at me.
Sure.
I'm the captain now.
Is it their money? It doesn't matter whether you think they have too much money. It doesn't matter whether and let's face it, it's not just going to be billionaires, because there's not enough money in the pockets of billionaires to justify the taxation that they're talking about. Elizabeth Warren has been promoting this, and others have too. Here's the problem. It's not just going to be billionaires, and it's not just going to be people who make, say, have $50 million a year in income. It's going to be smaller. It's going to have to come down to something that sounds a lot more reasonable. Maybe somebody who's a little wealthier than you are. But my question is then, what is the motivation? Did they not earn that money? I mean, you can make your arguments about billionaires, that's fine. But where do you draw the line? Where do you make that distinction between, well, maybe they ought to be paying more taxes, which is one thing, and, well, maybe they ought to be having their stuff taken because we don't think they deserve to have it. One of those things is a policy conversation, and the other one is theft. And so, if this is motivated by Colbert, Colbert is a faithful Catholic, and I can respect that. And when he's coming at this from the perspective saying, hey, we should absolutely encourage people to be generous, I think that's great. I think absolutely that's great. I think there are some non-generous billionaires in the world. I also think there's some remarkable people out there who give, whether they're billionaires or not, and they give significant portions of their wealth away to charity or to help other people. I think that's a laudable thing. The question is, can I put a gun to your head and make you do it? Now, here's the thing. If somebody came to me, if society decided that minivans now were the collective property of the community, somebody could come to my house and they'd put a gun, up and say, you haven't turned in your minivan, so we're going to take that and put you in jail. It'd be hard for me as an individual citizen to stand against that. But billionaires and multimillionaires have choices. And if you look in the example of France, from not too long ago, as they increased their taxes and imposed wealth taxes on the most wealthy people, what happened? They all left the country. I can't think about that very much, and most of you can't either. But it's a simple thing. You will have wealthy people just flee the country. They'll take their dollars, and they'll take the leadership of the businesses that they run, which are good for our economy, with them. I'm not saying that we need to give them special perks, and there are tons of loopholes that need to be dealt with that really mean that a lot of people in that wealth category don't pay their fair share. But there's a difference between that and saying, they have too much money by my definition, and so I and maybe the majority of people in this country have a right to confiscate it. That's theft. It's also coveting. Anyway, food for thought. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm Pastor Ted. Have a great day.